Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of August 13, 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. This is a week when we have remarkable energies on the one hand, continuing into this week, especially early in the week. But what we also have is a powerful new moon. Now, new moons represent new beginnings, but it's also new insights, fresh chapters, and new understandings. It's us feeling a sense of fresh energy that allows us to begin again, to start over, and to understand more deeply what it is now that we are ready to give another try. This new moon that happens in the middle of the week is close in the sky to Venus. So we have lots of Venusian energy highlighted with a week like this. So let's start with what's happening right out of the gate. We are carrying into this week that energy that kicked in late last week, which was the Sun and Venus close in the sky, and both of these planets reaching out and speaking in supreme harmony with asteroid Chiron. Chiron reminds us that we are sensitive beings and that a part of this journey in this lifetime is to align with greater wisdom, greater love as well. But that love is rooted in a more healed sense of self. Now, what is healing now is rather remarkable, especially for the collective. Lately, I've been getting a lot of messages asking me to look at different celebrities, what's happening with this celebrity, what's happening with that celebrity. And I think a lot of this happening at this particular time with this particular Venus retrograde is about us looking at these people that we might hold up on a pedestal, especially with the Venus retrograde happening in the sign of Leo that has to do with royalty. Well, celebrities have taken the place of the ancient gods in many ways. They come to exemplify and capture an archetypal energy that we hold on to, that we show tremendous dedication to. But of course, we are complex beings, and all of us, every single one of us, including celebrities, including the people that we admire, are not perfect. They are fallible. They have things about them that, if we knew more deeply, perhaps we would be repelled by or repulsed by. That's what it is to be human. And yet all of it is leading us to the same place. And that is recognizing the humanity, the imperfections, and looking within ourselves to find the wisdom and to find the healing this moment asks us to. And where it is that we really are owning this energy, not necessarily projecting it outwards towards what is taking place with other people, culturally iconic people in some cases. A lot of this really comes down to understanding that you are worth the love that is required to cultivate wisdom. Now, sometimes that is love directed towards others, and especially where other people make that hard, when they make it hard to love them. It doesn't mean that you have to be forgiving or you have to accept anything that compromises your own sense of self-value. In fact, this energy is the opposite. Where it is that you are connected to healthy self-value, then it goes beyond ego and an ego struggle, but rather it becomes about having a depth of appreciation that we're all on our own sacred journey. Having done that or connected to that wisdom, the work that wisdom requires sometimes means forgiveness of ourselves or of others. Forgiveness doesn't mean being a doormat or allowing other people to, quote unquote, get away with anything. But it is about trust, and it's about prioritizing your peace above and beyond anything else. Now, peace isn't a word that's been associated with this particular Venus retrograde season, that's for sure. Venus has been making some interesting, sometimes dramatic alliances with other power players in the sky. Ongoing dances are still taking place between Venus and Uranus and Neptune and Pluto. And next week, as Venus starts to slow down to a standstill, she's going to start connecting with Jupiter in a conversation of tension as well. And so this is the moment that you want to hold on to in some way, because this is where having that understanding of the peace that comes from loving yourself enough to find forgiveness for yourself or for others, seek the wisdom beyond just any hurt that our ego might have held. Well, that is going to be an understanding that carries us through some otherwise challenging moments as part of this larger Venus retrograde season. Now, last week I was talking to you about these key mythological moments as part of the Venus retrograde season. Of course, now with Venus so close in the sky to the sun, she is essentially invisible. The rays of the sun, the light of the sun block out her light at this time. And yet, this is a necessary moment. It is symbolic of going within, but I also think it's symbolic of finding the lightness in a situation that can feel rather intense. Think about the myth I told you about last week having to do with Inanna going into the underworld, to the bareness and the raw emotion of her sister. There's something about this moment of Venus meeting the sun that invites such a journey for us to go within, to understand what's really going on within us. And as we find the root of that understanding, we are healed in some way. We are renewed in some way as well. This is a real opportunity now to glimpse some of the wisdom, the fact that we get that trine of Chiron happening simultaneously as Venus is with the sun in the sky, not visible to us with the naked eye. It speaks very profoundly and very powerfully to how it is that sometimes the journey of wisdom asks us to go within, to in some way be quiet, in some way not be as visible than we might otherwise be, or at least not let all our emotion out. Although if that's your inclination, have at it, whatever feels right for you to do. But this moment does say that it is in the quiet, it is in the silence, it is in the underworld and within ourselves that real healing can happen, the kind that can stay with us for a very long time to come, well after this Venus retrograde season is over. Now, all of this is going to be highlighted in powerful ways once we get to Wednesday. There is so much happening in the sky at that time. Now, depending on where you are on the planet, it is in the Americas that these energies start to kick in on Tuesday in particular, but it is over the course of Wednesday where these energies that I'm about to talk about become so much more heightened in important ways. It starts with the sun speaking in a conversation of tension with Uranus. This Sun square Uranian energy is about us getting in touch with, getting clear about whom it is that we really are, what it is that we really want, where it is that there are certain lines, there are certain compromises that are just not worth making if it means compromising some authenticity within ourselves. A life-changing interview I saw on the Stephen Colbert show with Lady Gaga, okay, one of my favorites. And Lady Gaga was talking about being on A Star is Born and how odd and awkward it was for her to have her natural hair color in this movie. And Stephen Colbert was saying, but you just spoke about authenticity. Like what? Like he looked a little confused. And she said, no, this is who I authentically am. And she points to her big blonde wig and her fabulous clothes. And she says, this is who I've decided I am. That means this is who I authentically am. This is it. And I was so blown away by that insight. And I think that's what Sun square Uranus invites us to consider as well, especially with the sun in the sign of Leo, a sign that has to do with being yourself, trusting yourself, loving yourself. It is this very powerful Sun-Uranian energy that says it's not about how other people judge what it is to be authentically you. And it's really not about the opinions of others as well. It's about what you decide it is to be authentically you and you living it that makes it authentic. Full stop, period. But the fact that this is a key characteristic of the new moon in Leo energy that does perfect on Wednesday, connecting with Uranus, it's a surprise a minute without a doubt. And then it's also close in the sky with Venus. It is hanging tight, a conversation with Chiron as well, just like Venus is as well. And all of this does suggest that, yes, there are likely to be moments that feel jarring, that feel shocking, that ask us to get honest about and claim what it is to be true to ourselves. And especially where it is that is in contradiction to the expectations of others. It is in doing that that we find our healing, that we find ourselves, that we find some truth that rushes in. There comes a moment when we are invited to look at that messaging, and especially where it conflicts to what it is we know to be true about ourselves. And we realize if we choose ourselves, that's where the peace is. That's where the power is as well. Huge theme this week, but what also happens hours, just a few hours after that new moon perfects, we get a beautiful alignment between Mars and Uranus. This is a supremely harmonious alignment where we are taking action in support of what it is we feel is our truth, is our authenticity, the change we desire. Boy, are we filled with enthusiasm and energy and excitement. But those steps have to be practical. This is Mars moving through the sign of Virgo after all. And the energy of Virgo is very much about the details. It's about what you are actually living, what you give yourself to in your smallest moments as you move through a life. It is the energy of Virgo that speaks to where life actually happens. Whereas the energy of Leo is beautiful, there's something very idealistic about the energy of Leo because it is so heart-centered, and we're here learning about how to live a heart-centered life. And that's part of the message and the opportunity of the new moon. But it is Mars in Virgo that says, okay, now that we've moved on from the energy of Leo, the sign after Leo is Virgo. It's great. You got in touch with what you want in your heart. You got in touch with what it is to live authentically from a place of heart. But what does that actually look like? How do you ensure that you live that as you move through your life? Not just as performance, to move beyond self-love or self-value or individuality as performance, and instead go to a place where you living, regardless of whether or not anyone's around, regardless of who witnesses it or doesn't witness it, you being present for yourself is a place not just of power, but of positive change and enthusiasm and luck as well. I will say that. I happen to love trines of Uranus. As much as there can be so much tension with squares of Uranus, those conversations of tension, there can be such breakthroughs, such lightness. Trines of Uranus are about putting down baggage that we no longer need to carry. And where it is that that baggage is getting in the way of us owning our power to live, really live in a practical way, a life on our own terms, well, that's where the biggest breakthroughs are promised now. Now, this is also about what you repeatedly do, what you practice, and whatever it is that you practice, that's where you cultivate mastery. And a dear spiritual mentor of mine, going back many years, gosh, so much of his wisdom does show up in my videos. But I remember he said that, people tell themselves that they have this is what God is, and this is what the universe is, and this is the nature of the universe. If you want to see what they actually worship, what that actually looks like, look at how they're living day in and day out in those small moments. What are they giving their attention, their energy, and their action too. That tells you everything. During my recent 3 months in Brazil, I met this incredible woman, and she's a screenwriter and astrologer. And she was saying something. The way she said it, though, is what really stood out to me as well. She said, people always want to know, what's my purpose? What is it that I'm meant to do? What is my destiny? And I always tell them, it is this. It is here. It is now. Wherever it is you are in your life right now, whatever it is that you're doing right now, this is your destiny. This is your purpose in this moment. That might be different in 5 minutes from now. It might not be, but this is what we know. This is purpose, and purpose is a lived experience. Purpose happens in life itself. And so this Virgo energy, this Mars in Virgo, Mars itself having to do with the experience of life and adrenaline, the desire to live, the enthusiasm to live in a real way, to experience life in all of its moments in a real way. That enthusiasm for the human experience is what is likely to awaken for so many of us out there in an instant. Having come out of a place of heart, now we're ready to live those insights into self with that much more enthusiasm and gratitude and excitement for what is now and what has yet to be. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. Wow, I am going to say, look, we've got so many powerful energies here. We do have the continuation of this larger time frame from the end of last week into the beginning of this week, with the Venus retrograde season at a key moment as part of its larger season that we are in the midst of now. This turning point moment inviting us to own that Venusian energy, and especially in the sign of Leo on that level of heart, to bring healing to that level of heart, genuine love to that level of heart. At the same time, though, we've got that new moon. That new moon is all about new beginnings, rooted in heart as well. Some of those new beginnings are going to feel like a surprise. They're going to feel like a shock. They're likely going to take us aback in some way. However, there are other new beginnings promised here as well, the kind that we can feel, the kind that we can live, that will bring positive change in ways that are undeniable, but also lead to a genuine, embodied sense of happiness as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShawSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShawSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some incredible programs coming up this September. They are right around the corner. You've got a little over 2 weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate for these big dog astrologers. You're going to be so excited to learn about these programs. I'm going to start with my dear friend, Rachel Lang. Rachel is widely respected. Now, she has written a book called Modern Day Magic. Well, now she's coming to Synchronicity University with a 5-part course called Modern Money Magic, where she helps you to tap into the power of astrology, to understand yourself and your chart, and to align with greater prosperity than you've known before. Again, this is a 5-part course, and over the course of these 5 weeks, you'll learn all kinds of techniques for understanding your own chart, but also the charts of others, to guide them, but also to inspire yourself as well. This is a class not to miss, Modern Money Magic, with the one and only Rachel Lang. I love this woman. I am always better having spoken to her. I always feel more connected to that energy of magic and manifestation. And now she's going to help us to understand that where it comes to money. So check out our class. You have a little over 2 weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, to learn from the one and only Rachel Lang at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents a world leader in medical astrology, the one and only Kira Sutherland. This is huge. The opportunity to have Kira Sutherland at Synchronicity University, to learn from Kira for as low as just $5 a class. It really is an unheard of rate to learn from her. And this class is proving to be very popular. Her reputation precedes her. And so this is where you're going to learn basics to medical astrology, as only she can teach it. There is an element here that is insightful, intelligent, knowledgeable, but practical as well. So you'll learn what to look for astrologically, but then she's also helping you to understand the remedies to different things that you might see. So she's also a homeopath, and she does tinctures and flower remedies and so much more. So you can see here, there are many components to this one-of-a-kind course taught by Kira Sutherland. I'm so proud of Synchronicity University's mission, which is to bring quality astrology classes by the leading astrologers in the world at a rate that makes them truly accessible to the masses. Well, it is Kira that exemplifies the best of this mission, allowing Synchronicity University to live that mission as well. So you've got just a few weeks left, little over 2 weeks left, to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, to learn from Kira Sutherland. What a course on medical astrology that I think you will love. It will empower you towards greater health and practical things you can do to magnify a state of well-being in your life right now. So check out Kira Sutherland. You can learn a lot more and sign up at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has a truly incredible speaker series coming up this September. Just a couple weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class. And we have a living legend this time around. This is huge. We are so fortunate to get the one and only Richard TARNAS. Now, Richard TARNAS, like I said, he is one of our living legends, one of the few in the world, and he is somebody who's written the phenomenon of a book, Cosmos and Psyche. He's an Harvard-educated professor, and he is somebody who is so widely respected in the world of astrology as well. And so Richard TARNAS is going to be coming to Synchronicity University, speaking as only he can, helping us to understand myth and mystical and the mysticism of astrology. This is a talk that you really do not want to miss. There is really no other place you're going to be able to hear a talk from the one and only Richard TARNAS at this rate. I hope that you will join us. We've got incredible other speakers as well. This is how fortunate we are. We also get the one and only JENN ZAHRT. Now, JENN ZAHRT, also a leader in the world of astrology. So happy to have her at Synchronicity University. And she's going to be teaching on Mercury retrograde. We are going to be in the midst of a Mercury retrograde when she's teaching as well, with Mercury in Virgo. And I would invite you to watch the interview I did with her. She is such a dynamic and knowledgeable and insightful astrologer and speaker. She just shines so brightly, and that's why she's so widely respected in our field. So I hope that you will check her out. My dear friend, NATHALIA Maria, she is a Brazilian astrologer. I love this person so much. I know how much she helped me to be a better astrologer in the many conversations we had over the course of the 3 months that I was in Brazil. We hung out plenty of times, and every time I felt like I learned something new astrologically. And so she's coming to Synchronicity University with the September speaker series, teaching on new myths or new understandings. What different myths can we apply to the 12 signs? We often look at the myths of the planets. I know I'm very passionate about the mythology behind the planets. The signs don't get as much attention, but she's going to help us to understand the signs themselves by looking at Greek mythology. And my dear friend KASSIA, KRISTOFF, I am so proud of KASSIA. She is doing incredible things in astrology. She's coming back to Synchronicity University. This time she's going to be teaching on critical degrees, helping you to understand them from an evolutionary perspective, an evolutionary astrology perspective, is how you can tap into the power of these given critical degrees in astrology in a given sign. And we are going to have me, Nadiya Shah, and we are going to be doing a Pluto and Aquarius check-in. So we had a little bit of a taste of Pluto and Aquarius. How was that for you? We got that little bit of a dip, right? A little less than 3 months there over the course of the spring is when we got to experience Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So now we're doing a check-in, and I'll be going through the different signs and houses for you, some key things to understand and to expect as part of this larger 20-year transit that we are at the very beginning of. Now, if you want a deeper dive into understanding what Pluto in Aquarius means for you and your sign, well, that's where you can check out the Decade Ahead horoscope. And I will link to that below here on YouTube. I talk about this energy for the collective, and you can also see preview horoscopes for the individual signs. And you can also download these extensive Decade Ahead horoscopes for each sign at nadiyashah.com, or get them as part of your Superstar membership at nadiyashahsuperstars.com. It's going to be an amazing September speaker series. It is going to be special, off the hook, so much fun, so insightful, and such a wonderfully accessible opportunity to learn from some of the best astrologers. Only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. And the Canadian Astrology Conference is coming up soon, and we've got just a little while left. I think it's later this week that the early bird rate will come to an end. And so if you want the discounted rate, log on right now to the CanadianAstrologyConference.ca. If you can join us live, that's great. And it's going to be in Calgary, Alberta. I'm going to be the MC. I'm going to be there. We're going to have a lot of fun together. But if you can't join us in person, there's an online component as well. And we'd love to have you there. We have international celebrity astrologer guest, the one and only, the great Rick Levine, is going to be joining us live, and he is going to be doing the dinner keynote. He's going to be doing the post-conference workshop, and we've got incredible astrologers as part of the Canadian Astrology Conference. So I hope that you will join us regardless of what side on the border you are. If you are Canadian or you're on the Canadian side of the border, come join us, celebrate Canadian astrology. If you're on the American side of the border, well, look, you get a massive discount given the exchange rate. The exchange rate itself makes this a trip worth taking. And yes, come to Calgary, join us. Gather with other astrologers. It's always so much fun to hang out with astrologers. I cannot wait just for that factor. But then, yes, I'm going to be the MC. I'll be there through the whole conference. I have outfits planned. You know me, Moon conjunct Venus, Nadiya. I've got the outfits going. But also lots of wisdom, lots of love, lots of insights, lots of understanding. And the larger theme of this year's Canadian Astrology Conference is going to be rooted around Indigenous wisdom. And so many of the speakers have Indigenous roots. Many of them are going to help us to understand the astrology as rooted in the traditions of the different Indigenous communities of Canada, and so much more. I mean, one of the talks is on gardening by the moon. That is something I cannot wait for, because lately I've actually been getting a little bit into gardening, like just a little touch, as much as an Aquarius is going to get. I've got. Okay. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to learning that and so much more. So I hope that you'll come to Calgary, Alberta. It's going to be a lot of fun. There will be hugs. There will be fun. There will be love. If you can join us for the whole conference, that's great. If you only want to come to the dinner to hear the keynote by the one and only, the great Rick Levine, and hang out with astrologers and have a lot of fun and enjoy the evening with other astrologers, yeah, you can do that too. All of that info is there on the website and so much more at CanadianAstrologyConference.ca. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust and your love. I'm so grateful for it. Wow. It is incredible to think that we are right around the corner from such a special Synchronicity University. And then, of course, this huge event that's happening in Calgary as well. And so it'll be my first time in Calgary. I'm really looking forward to learning more about my Canadian connection, my Canadian roots. Being born and raised in Canada, it is the place that I consider home on a heart level, certainly. And I'm looking forward to gathering with other Canadian astrologers. And yeah, Rick Levine, who doesn't like hanging out with Rick Levine? He's so amazing. So you got to come check that out. But yes, I hope that we get to hang out in Calgary. But even if you don't get to come or join us online, this moment means so much. To have this moment with you, to be some part of your sacred journey is so special to me. Thank you. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.